And hello everyone, this is Yugioh. Welcome back to the channel. So today I have a new deck profile for you guys. This is Memento. So I've been taking this deck to some locals for the past few weeks, and I've actually done quite well. The most recent one that I went 2-1-1. I beat Horus Centurion and Melodius. I tied with Melodius. There was a bit of a mix-up with the Konami software, and I played the same guy twice. And I lost to Chillement, Light, Sworn, Fiends with Good Stuff, Pile. Weird deck. But overall, I've been having just a blast with this deck. The OCG is dominated by Fiendsmith, whatever you want. And it's nice to be able to play a deck that doesn't require that engine because I really don't like it. So I'd like to take a little bit of time and show you what the deck looks like post the new support in Infinite Forbidden. As with all my deck profiles, this is not an optimal list. This is a proof of concept. I'll go over the main, the extra, the side. I'll cover a few tech choices that you can play in your extra deck. And at the end, I will show you a small combo demonstration. So, without any further ado, let's just get started. So, starting off with the main deck, we have one copy of Memento La Tectolica Combined Creation, which is a mouthful, so I'm going to call it either Combined Creation or just the big guy. So he is a level 11 Earth Worm. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned from your hand or graveyard by shuffling 5 different Memento monsters, with different names, from your hand or graveyard into your deck or extra deck. While you control no other monsters, this card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. And once per turn, if your opponent activates a card or effect, you can special summon one Memento monster from your hand or graveyard. This thing is amazing. Obviously, it's the boss monster of the deck, and does a pretty good job of that. It's just a giant body. It beats over some kind of important cards. It beats over Skull Guardian. It's at 41. It beats over some of the Tenpai Synchro monsters. It's just really hard to deal with. More importantly, it just puts things in your graveyard back into the deck. The whole Memento deck is built around summoning this guy out, and so of course they're going to dump a lot of things into the graveyard. This is how you're putting them back. This is how you're extending your grind game. This is how you're able to keep playing after both you and your opponent are running low on resources. A few things to note about this card. Number one, its summoning procedure is not once per turn. So long as you have enough materials in your graveyard, you can summon this back multiple times a turn. And the last thing to note is the last effect, the one that summons a Memento, is not a quick effect. It is a trigger effect. It activates on resolution. So you can't go channeling 1 Dark Hole, channeling 2 Combined Creation. Its opponent activates an effect. On resolution, you summon a monster. This thing is amazing. If it gets banished, you are in a really bad spot. Fortunately, though, it's an Earth, so it's not vulnerable to Bestials. But if your opponent knows what they're doing, they'll go after this card. So in addition to Combined Creation, we are also playing 3 copies of Memento La Anguish. So if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a Memento monster from your deck to your hand. And you can target one level 2 or lower Memento monster in your graveyard, destroy a Memento monster you control, and if you do, summon that target. Note that a lot of the Memento monsters will have this effect. They do not have to destroy themselves. More often than not, you will be destroying themselves, but you don't have to. She's crazy. I don't think I have to go into why a searcher for the deck is really good. The main card you're searching is Memento La Tatsuno Toshigo, which I will henceforth be referring to as the horse, because that name is a mouthful. So, if you control no face-up monsters except for Memento monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. And during your main phase, you can destroy a Memento you control. And if you do, send Memento monsters from your deck to the graveyard whose combined levels are equal to or lower than the destroyed monster's level. This is arguably better than Witch. Granted, Witch is the 1-card starter of the deck, but Horse kind of gets all your combo pieces into rotation. If your opponent's smart, they will not Ash the Witch. They'll probably try to Ash the Horse. Because just Witch plus Horse is not a good board. You can't really do a lot with that. Yeah, this thing is amazing, though. I will show you at the end, while Witch does give you a better 1-card combo, you do have a 1-card combo with the Horse. In addition to those 2, we're also playing 3 copies of Memento La Dark Blade. So on normal or special summon, you can discard a Memento card, then target a spell or trap your opponent controls, destroy it. During your main phase, you can destroy 1 Memento monster you control, and if you do, summon a level 3 or lower Memento monster from your deck. This gets you to Witch. That's all that's important about it. It's also searchable. We are playing Rhoda. It's a warrior. We're also playing 1 copy of Memento La Horn Dragon. So Memento La Horn Dragon says, if you have at least 3 Memento monsters with different names in your graveyard, you can just summon it from your hand for free. You can only summon Memento and Horned Dragon once per turn this way. And if this card on the field is destroyed by card effect, you can target 3 face-up cards in the field, including 1 Memento card you control, destroy them. Note it does not say up to 3. It must target exactly 3. So don't do this if your opponent only has 1 card, unless you want to neg yourself even more. This thing is important not because it has a good field wipe effect, but just because it's a level 8 free body. Again, it's not hard to put mementos in the graveyard, and this just puts stuff on the board and just offers itself as free link fodder. As for the small mementos, these cards are actually crazy. We have 1 copy of Memento Mace. So the main effect of Mace is during your main phase, you can destroy a memento you control, and if you do add a memento card from deck to hand, unlike Witch, this can add the spells and traps, and the spells and traps are insane. The other effect is during your opponent's main phase, if you control Combined Creation, you can discard this card, then target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, and then take control of it until the end of the turn. Nice little piece of disruption, doesn't really come up. We're also playing 1 copy of Memento Link Goblin. So Goblin's effect is during your main phase, you can destroy a memento you control, and if you do, send 2 memento cards, up to 2 memento cards, with different names from your deck to the graveyard. The other effect is during either player's turn, if you control Combined Creation, you can discard it, and this turn your memento monsters cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. Goblin is less good. It's in here just because it is an extra name, and the effect is not the worst. One thing that you can do is you can send the spells and traps with this, because the spells and traps have some good graveyard effects, and more importantly, if you really need to, you can send what I think is the best memento in the deck, Gaddock. Memento and Gaddock says, if this card is sent to the graveyard by a memento monster effect, you can special summon it. And if this card is normal or special summoned, you can target a memento card in your graveyard, except for Gaddock, add it back to your hand. So, as I mentioned earlier, if Combined Creation gets banished, that's not good for you. But so long as you have Gaddock in rotation, you're probably fine. The main thing that Gaddock does that Combined Creation doesn't is it gets back your spells and traps. And so there are some kind of funny applications with it. What you can do, for instance, is you can go normal Goblin, right? Goblin effect, destroy itself. You can send a card you need plus Gaddock, right? Gaddock effect will bring itself back since it was sent by Goblin's effect. And then it will trigger on summon, target the other card Goblin sent, add it back to your hand. You can also, for instance, go Horned Dragon effect. If you destroy Horned Dragon with a card effect, you can target Gaddock, target 2 cards your opponent controls, destroy them, Gaddock will trigger, and it comes back. You have lots of ways of putting this into the graveyard with a monster effect, which is why it's so good. If Gaddock gets banished, I would argue you are probably in a much worse position than if you lost Combined Creation. And as for the new Memento, we are playing 1 copy of Memento Sleepy. I love this card's name in the TCG. So this is a level 3 Earth Beast from Infinite Forbidden, and you can only use each effectless card once per turn. If this card is normal or special summon, you can fusion summon a memento monster using a monster from your hand or field as material. It does not have to use itself. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send 1 memento card from your deck to the graveyard except for Sleepy. And what's more important is quick effect. If a monster in your possession has been destroyed by card effect this turn, you can summon this card from your hand. Note that it does not say if. It's if it was destroyed this turn, meaning you can say destroy Mace, right? Add Sleepy, do your whole combo, and then later go, alright, Sleepy effect, summon itself, and then fusion summon. This is another way to trigger Gaddock, right? If you fuse Sleepy plus Gaddock, you will trigger Gaddock's effect, and it will come back. Overall, this card is amazing. I used to be playing 2, but you only need 1. That does it for the Memento monsters. Going on into the hand traps, we are playing the best card in the OCG. The second best card in the OCG. Effect Veiler and Nibiru. There are lots of decks in the OCG right now. They're making huge boards. Beans with U-Battle summons a lot of times in a turn. And generally, if they're going first, they're not making Wave King Caesar to block themselves against Nibiru. They are making Beatrice. Now, I don't think Nib is all that good necessarily into a Fiendsmith board, but it is better than nothing. And it does cook a lot of other low-powered decks out there. Like Snake Eyes can have a hard time dealing with this thing too. So that is for the monster lineup. Going on into the spells and traps. So going on into the spells and traps, we have 1 copy of the field spell, Memento. I'm just going to call it Memento on the field spell. So you can only use the second effect of this card once per turn. If a Memento monster you control battles, your opponent cannot activate spells and traps until the end of the damage step. So you know you're safe from Magic Cylinder. And if you attack with your Memento monster, your opponent can't drop at you in the damage step. That's kind of huge. Also, the second effect is if a monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target one of those monsters and then summon a Memento from hand or graveyard with a lower level. Not equal or lower, lower. And then the last effect is once per turn, during your end phase, you can target one Memento, spell, or trap in your graveyard and set it. We're only playing one because this card is now very easily searchable. But you'd be surprised at how much mileage this can get you. If your opponent does not know what this card does, for instance, you can do some pretty nutty things. I once played against a Voices player. I had this up. Summon the horse. He let the horse go through. Use horse effect to mill. And he chained Skull Garden to negate and destroy. But because he destroyed the horse, I could trigger the field spell. And I could summon Mace out of my hand. And I just killed him. So this does offer some nice utility. We're also playing 3 copies of Memento Bone Party. This card is just branded opening for Memento. You can discern Memento in your hand or face a field, and if you do, take a Memento from your deck with a different name and either add it to your hand or special summon it in defense position. You can banish it from your graveyard, target a Memento you control. This turn, it deals piercing battle damage. This did come up for me once. I beat the Fiendsmith Filament player. He had a giant board, Baron, Trick Clown, Minerva, I think something else. I had the big guy. I just used Bone Party effect, made it do piercing, and then I just swung over everything and dealt massive damage. We're also playing 3 copies of Memento Fusion. If you don't know what this card does, this thing is amazing. During either player's main phase, you can fusion summon a monster using monsters you control or in your hand, including a Memento monster. But if a monster in your possession was destroyed by card effect this turn, you can also shuffle monsters from your graveyard into the deck as material. The other effect is you can banish this card from your graveyard, destroy a monster you control, and if you do, add 1 Memento spell or trap from your deck to your hand. This can add itself, actually. So one thing to note about this is that it does not say you have to summon a Memento fusion monster, you just have to use a Memento as material. So, as you'll see when we get into extra deck, there are some pretty interesting monsters you can summon, even though they're not Mementos. But you can use Mementos as material to summon them. This thing is amazing. In between this and Bone Party, you don't really have to worry a lot about things like Effect Dale or Imperm, because you can just chain these things, blow them up, or fuse with them. We're playing 1 Rhoda. As I mentioned earlier, Darkblade is a warrior, and it is a 1-card starter, because it gets you to the 1-card starter. And then running up the spells, we are playing 2 Called By and 1 Cross-Out Designator. And as for the traps, very easy, just 3 Imperm. We're not playing Cranium Burst, unfortunately. Cranium Burst is a good card. I'm not saying you should not play it. I think, though, when I was running it, I made the deck 42 cards, and I didn't really like that. I often had hands where if you open Cranium Burst, it's like, that's not really a good card to draw. Like, I wanted that to be something else. So I moved it out of the main deck. Again, you can main it. I think it's a perfectly fine card to use. And I'm considering putting it back in, actually. I'm just not sure what I would cut for it. So, that does it for the main deck going on into the extra. We'll start it with the new guy. We have, this is Memento Land Tectolica. I think this is Combined King, if I remember the TCG name correctly. I'm just going to call this the Big Fusion guy. So he is a level 9 Earth Illusion monster, requires 3 Mementos. You can only use each effect of this card per turn, and you cannot use the second effect of this card in the same chain as the first effect. It's a weird restriction, I know. So if this card is fusion summoned, you can send 3 Memento cards from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard. That's going to be important in a bit. The second effect, which is a quick effect, you can target Memento monsters you control, and the same number of cards your opponent controls, destroy them. And then the last effect is you can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 Memento on the field spell from your deck to your hand. So this is how you're getting the field spell into rotation. He can send himself, so if you fusion him, you go his effect, you're always sending another copy of himself if you're going first, just because this gets you the field spell, and the field spell helps you make your end board. One thing to note about this card, which I think is really interesting, so what you can do with this, because it says destroy them, not destroy all of them. So for instance, let's say, I don't know, you activate Memento and Fusion, right? You can go Memento and Tectolica, chain link 1, target, say, your Gaddock, target a card your opponent controls. You can then chain Fusion, fuse with your Gaddock, make a Fusion monster, and then resolving the Combined King, the card will also be destroyed. This is even more interesting with something like, say, Horn Dragon. Like, let's say you destroy Horn Dragon with a card effect. Right, you can go Horn Dragon effect, we can go target himself, we can target 2 other cards, and then you can go, alright, his effect, target himself, again, target an extra card. So you lose your combined king, but your opponent just lost 3 cards. So you can kind of artificially extend the destruction effect of some of your Memento cards, depending on how you order your chain links. He's insane. You only need 2, though. As for the other monsters, we're playing 2 copies of Memento Twin Dragon. So this requires 2 Memento monsters. It's a level 7 Light Thunder. You can only effect the card once per turn. If this card is fusion summoned, you can destroy 1 Memento in your hand or face a field, and if you do, add 2 Memento monsters with different names from your deck to your hand. If this fusion summon card is destroyed, you can summon a level 6 or lower Memento from your graveyard. It has another effect, which doesn't always come up, but sometimes it does. It banishes any monster destroyed in battle with a Memento monster you control. I have seen some lists play Chaos Angel, and I understand why. This is a level 7, and Anguish is a level 3. Right, you have a light and a dark. You can make an unaffected Chaos Angel very easily, and it cannot be destroyed by battle. The thing is that generally you don't want to keep this on the board. You want to blow it up just so you can get the value off of it. Right, it adds 2 and then replaces itself, so you basically go +2 off of this thing. Yeah, this card's amazing. You might be able to get away with 1, although sometimes the second Twin Dragon does come up. We're also playing 1 Guardian Chimera. As I mentioned earlier, Memento Fusion does not say it has to summon a Memento Fusion monster, so you could, in theory, fuse your Mementos to make Guardian Chimera. I will say this is a card I think is best when you make it after your opponent is out of options, right? So, very simple game state. Let's say you're just destroying your opponent's stuff with the Combined King, with Horn Dragon, right? They're running out of resources, you're negating their stuff. And then they go, all right, set a few cards, pass. And then when they try to end their main phase, you go flip Memento Fusion, you make this thing, you wipe the rest of their board, and then you win the game. Guardian Chimera does not come up very often. I'm afraid to cut him, though, because I feel like if I cut him, he's going to matter. And then as for the last 2 fusion monsters, we're playing 1 Mud Dragon and 1 of the new cards. This is the Duke of Demise. This card is from Animation Chronicle. It is a level 6 Dark Fiend. Calm down. It requires 2 zombies and or fiend monsters, and this card's controller must pay 500 life points during their standby phase, or else this card is destroyed. It cannot be destroyed by battle. Once per turn, you can get an extra normal summon. That effect activates. So it's activate, and then immediately after the effect resolves, normal summon a monster. So it's kind of like a true Draco Speller Trap. And then you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a level 4 or higher fiend or zombie monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. That effect doesn't come up. We don't have high level fiends or zombies. These 2 cards are in here because I was very afraid of Fiendsmith Yubel. Mud Dragon is a decent card against that deck. The problem with it is the fiends that they make are different attributes, right? Wave King Caesar is a water, and Spirit of Yubel is a dark, so you can't make Mud Dragon with them. This card is good against other stuff, right? Against like Voiceless, Mud Dragon is really good, but I didn't run into any Voiceless players. Probably Garura would have been better in this slot. I think the Memento Extra only has space for 2, if that, and I'm honestly considering cutting these. The Duke of Demise is in here just because it hard counters Fiendsmith Yubel, and you can fuse with Fiend monsters with different attributes, right? They have Spirit of Yubel and a Wave High King Caesar. You just super poly that, make Duke of Demise. The problem, you could play, say, Loving Defender Forever, but I think a lot of the Yubel end boards they end on will be like Phantom of Yubel, and you can't use that as fusion material. So I would consider cutting these. These are not mandatory at all. And then rounding up the rest of the extra deck, we have 1 Anima. Anima's in here just because Mace and Goblin are level 1s. Doesn't matter too much. I'm considering cutting them, honestly. Or considering cutting Anima. It doesn't really matter. The only use case I can think of is like maybe you need to send a Memento in your graveyard. You can put a monster on the board, get a Memento in your grave, and then put that Memento back to summon back Combined Creation. That use case has not come up yet. 1 Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep is important for the main Memento 1-card combo with Anguish. I'll show you at the end of the video. 1 Azalea. Requires lights and darks. We have a few lights and darks. I would consider cutting this card for a much more powerful link too. Something like, say, a Masquerena. 1 Little Knight, of course. 1 Dark. I have seen some lists play Elsa. Elsa's not a bad option either. You do have a bunch of Earths. But Fiendsmith Yubel is a much more common option in the meta, and being able to steal your opponent's Masquerena is pretty good, actually. We're playing 1 Selene, 1 Appaloosa, and 1 Underworld Goddess, rounding out our 15-card extra deck. So, I'll show you quickly the side that I brought to my most recent tournament. We're playing 2 DD Crow. DD Crow hits a lot of decks right now. Hits Fiendsmith. Anything with Fiendsmith, you just banish their Lure out of the graveyard if they go Tractus. And hopefully that's enough to stop them. Probably isn't, unfortunately, though. But I think DD Crow is just overall a really flexible hand trap. It hits a lot of decks. It's Voiceless pretty decently. It hits things that you battle, as I mentioned earlier. So, just an overall pretty strong card all around. 1 Duster, 2 Cyclone, 2 Super Polymerization. This is because it is semi-limited. I can't play more. And that's why we're playing Duke of Demise and Mud Dragon, just because I wanted some board breakers. Speaking of board breakers, we're playing Triple Droplet, Triple Judgment, because we don't like getting evenly matched. 1 Fracture Dance. This is the Memento spot removal. If you control Memento, target a card in the field, destroy it. If you control Combined Creation, you can destroy an extra card. It has a grave effect. You can make all your opponent's monsters lose 1,000 attack if they battle your Memento monster. That doesn't come up. And then the 1 Cranium Burst. I decided Cranium Burst for going first. If I were to replace it and just move it into the main deck, I'd probably be playing things like, I don't know, D-Barrier, for instance. So before we get into the combo demonstration, I want to go over a few cards that you can consider playing in your Memento extra deck. I did consider playing these. I was playing them at one point, but I ultimately cut them just because I wanted to test a different variant. So so you could play Garura, of course, if you want to go in on Super Polymerization. Masquerena. Masquerena is just Solid Link 2. I never made it, though, which is why I cut it. Access Code, of course. And Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. Memento Horn Dragon is level 8. Combined Creation is level 11. And the big fusion guy is at level 9. So you have a lot of high-level monsters that you can use to make this thing. And I still think unable to be targeted and unable to be destroyed by card effects is still really strong in 2024. And sometimes you just want like a good Link 3, right? The problem with Selene is it's just not something you can sit on. I think you just want something you can sit on, right? You can link this off, make Soldier of Chaos, run over something, make a gain, attack, and all of a sudden your opponent has a real problem on their hands. So these are also options that you could consider. Also Chaos Angel, as I mentioned earlier, but I don't think Chaos Angel is worth. I have seen other lists, old lists, play Herald of Mirage Lights. Memento and Mace is a light fairy that you can discard to negate a spell for trap. I think that is cope. I really don't think ending on Mirage Lights is good enough to justify that. Like, you'd much rather have Mace in your deck or use Mace as a quick effect mind control than a negate. So that does it for the main extra side and the tech options. So give me a little bit to set up and I will show you a quick combo demonstration with Memento. So see you guys in a bit. Okay, so to do this Memento 1-card combo, you only need a copy of Darkblade or Angwitch. We're going with Darkblade because this is slightly stronger. If you go with Witch, you can do the full combo, but you will have 1 fewer name in your graveyard. So having Darkblade sometimes can help, right? If you want to keep a certain Memento in your graveyard for the big guy. So to do the combo, first we'll normal the Blade. Darkblade effect, destroy himself. We'll summon Witch out of the deck, which is going to trigger on summon. We will add the Horse. Activate the Horse to summon himself. Horse effect, destroy himself. We're going to send Mementos whose combined levels are 5 or lower. We'll send Mace, that's 1. Goblin, that's 2. Sleepy, that's 5. We'll go Witch effect, target the Mace. Blow itself up, we'll summon Mace back. And go Mace effect, destroy herself. We'll add a Memento card. We have to grab Memento Fusion. We'll activate Memento Fusion, and we'll put back 3 Mementos. We have to keep the Sleepy engraved. So we'll put back the Mace, we'll put back the Goblin, we'll put back the Horse. We'll put them on the bottom of the deck for now. You normally would shuffle them, but this deck is stacked to show you the combo. And we will summon the Combined King. Now, when you summon this guy, you need to summon him in either the middle name monster zone, the leftmost, or the rightmost. Doesn't matter which one of those 3, but it's got to be one of them. Then we're going to go his effect. On summon, we're going to send 3 cards. So we'll send Combined Creation, we'll send Gaddock, and we'll also send a copy of himself. Now, Gaddock's going to activate since it was sent by Memento Monster Effect. Let's bring itself back, and then on summon, it's going to target the Sleepy and add back to hand. Then, we're going to go effect of the King, banish himself to grab the field spell. Not the boat party. We got the field spell. Now, activate the field spell. Then we're going to activate Sleepy. Sleepy's going to summon himself, And then on summon, we're going to fuse. So we're going to fuse these two. And we're going to make Twin Dragon. Now, on summon, Twin Dragon is going to activate. It's going to destroy itself. And we'll add 2 mementos with different names. We'll grab Horn Dragon, and we'll grab Witch. This can be anything you want. You know what? Just to make this a little more optimal, we're not going to grab the Witch. We'll grab the Mace. This can be any memento you want, but you have to add Horn Dragon. Then we're going to go Chinook 1, the field spell, target Twin Dragon, Chinook 2, Dragon. This plays around Ghost Ogre. So we're going to summon back 2 mementos from Grave. We'll get back Sleepy, and we'll get back Gaddock. It doesn't matter which ones. You can get back the Dark Blade and Witch. Because now we're going to link these off to summon Crush Sheep. This is why it matters where the king is. So long as Crush Sheep is pointing to it, you're fine. Then, we have over 3 mementos with different names in our graveyard, so we can summon out Horn Dragon. Now, Crush Sheep's going to activate since a monster is summoned to a zone it points to. And now, since it's pointing to a fusion, we get a level 4 back from our graveyard. We'll get back Sleepy. Because why not? And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4. We link 4 into Appaloosa. And now we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And honestly, you probably want to keep the Gaddock in Grave, actually. That doesn't particularly matter. Right? Because if we go 1... Actually, keep the Witch. We gotta keep the Witch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can shuffle these back to summon out our big guy. Now see, because we did it with Darkblade, we have an extra memento in our graveyard. If we didn't, we would probably have to have Witch in our hand instead of the Mace. So, then, during the end phase, we're going to activate the effect of our Memento Land field spell, target the fusion, and set it. So, what do we have? Well, we have a 3-mana Appaloosa, that's 3 monster negates. If our opponent does anything, we can go effective him to summon out the Witch from our graveyard, which will get us a search. You can search for Sleepy. Probably want to search for Sleepy actually here. We can also go. We also have 2 guaranteed pops, right? Because if it target itself, target combined creation, destroy 2 cards. And then, if we do that, since cards got destroyed, we can trigger the field spell, get back Witch that way. And also, if we destroy our own cards, our fusion's live. So we can fuse, make Twin Dragon, and just pop off. We also have Mace, so we have a quick effect Mind Control. Or, if we want to be really mean, we can also just make Guardian Chimera here. So, that is a pretty simple 1-card combo with just Witch or Darkblade. I did show you the stronger version. If you did not have Darkblade, you would have had to shuffle that back the memento in your hand to keep the Witch in Grave. Now that's all well and good, but I'm going to show you a separate 1-card combo. Now this 1-card combo is a lot better if you have Cranium Burst in your deck. Depending on your extra deck, if you want to optimize your deck to make use of this combo, then you will have to make some changes to it. But I will show you the combo. This can be a little bit to set up, so see you guys in a bit. Okay, so the other 1-card combo that I want to show you is what happens if you just have a copy of the Horse, right? I've been hyping up the Horse. The Horse is a really good card. What can you do with just it by itself? Well, let me show you. So first thing I'm going to do, we can activate Horse's effect if we control no monsters. We're just going to summon him out. Use his effect. Destroy himself. We're going to send Mace, Goblin, and this time, instead of sending Sleepy, we're going to send Gaddock, right? We needed monsters on the board. Right? So Gaddock's going to trigger. Going to come back. His effect's going to activate. We're going to target the Mace, add to hand. Okay? Normal Mace. Mace effect, destroy herself. And we'll add Fusion. Alright? Now, we're going to activate Fusion, and we're going to shuffle back the Mace and the Horse. We have to keep the Goblin. I mean, I guess you could shuffle back the Goblin, keep the Mace, but you have to keep one of them in the graveyard. Right? So shuffle them back. We'll make Twin Dragon. Twin Dragon's going to activate here, destroy itself. We're going to add 2. We're going to add Witch, and we will add Sleepy. Twin Dragon's going to activate. We get back Goblin. And then here we'll activate the Grave effect of Memento Fusion. Just banishing it to destroy a monster we control, and then we're going to add a Memento Spell or Trap. We'll blow up the Gaddock, and then we're going to add a copy of Bone Party. Activate Bone Party, we'll blow up the Witch in hand to summon out Darkblade. Alright, now Darkblade's going to activate, he's going to blow himself up. We'll summon out another Witch. which will trigger. We're going to add the combined creation. You could add any other memento you want here, but the others won't really help you because we need to keep this goblin on the field. Well, actually, no, we need to keep the witch on the field. Activate Sleepy. Since the monster got destroyed this turn, we'll summon him. We'll use his effective fuse. We're going to fuse all 3. And we will make the combined king. Again, summon him either here, or in the middle. We'll summon him on the leftmost zone. Use his effect. We will send another copy of Memento Fusion, Horn Dragon, and a horse. And, sorry, another copy of himself. Now here, this Memento Fusion could be a Cranium Burst. It is perfectly fine if you want to do that instead. Then we'll go Combined King, banish himself, we'll add the field spell, activate the field spell. And then we'll go Witch Effect, we'll target the Goblin, destroy itself, we'll summon back Goblin. And then we'll activate the effect of the field spell, targeting the Witch, so we can summon a level 2 or lower. We still have Gaddock engraved, we get back the Gaddock. And then we can link these off for a Cross Sheep again. And then we're going to shuffle back 5, right? We can go, let's go 1, 2, 3, keep a witch engrave, 4, and 5. Let's shuffle back these to summon out our combined creation. We'll trigger the effect of Cross Sheep. And we will get one of these guys back. Let's get back the Sleepy, so why not? And then here, we can make a link 2. We can make Little Knight. So we can go here, we can make Masquerena. Right? If you want to play Masquerena, we can make Masquerena here. If you want to make Dark, we can bring back, say, the Gaddock instead, make a Dark here. For now, we're just going to make a Little Knight. But again, this could be a Masquerena. There's an argument to be made that you want to make a Masquerena instead, because this puts this guy in the graveyard and you can bring him back. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter. Then during the end phase, we're going to trigger the effect of the field spell, and we'll set our Memento Fusion. Again, this could be a Cranium Burst instead. Here, what we have is we still have our fuse live. We can bring back Gaddock. Gaddock will add back Sleepy. So if we use the Combined King to blow up the Gaddock, right? Gaddock will bring itself back because it was sent by monster effects. We don't get the add anymore, but that's fine. You can trigger Sleepy. We can so fuse into Twin Dragon, do whatever we want. If this was a Cranium Burst instead, we can negate a bunch of monster effects, and then if our opponent tries to do something with us, we can just chain Little Knight, banish these. During the end phase, they both come back, and then this will reset the attack, so it goes back to 5,000. So that's just one thing that you can do with just the horse. Again, if you want to really optimize that combo, you will have to make some changes to your deck. You'll need Cranium Burst. You might want to use Masquerena instead. But yeah, that's just one simple line that you can do with just the horse. So that does it for the deck profile. Please, if you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Do whatever you do whenever you like a video on YouTube. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.